So Jada, at the start of this book, you talk about how you were, and this broke my heart, you were talking about how you were planning taking your life, but then how it could look like an accident.
Yeah, that was 2011. That was my 40th birthday. My 40th year, actually.
When I was reading that, I was just thinking to myself, I was like, what were you hoping that would achieve? Like, what were you hoping that would solve? Talk us through that.
Yeah, it's funny because when you're in those states, you're not clear. It's not like it's going to make rational sense, right? You want out of the pain, and you cannot imagine your only way out is death. You think in your mind you've tried everything, and you're like, it's all I got. I can't do this. I can't keep doing this. And so that's your only solution. And I tell people all the time, you know, we've had a lot of different spotlighted people who've taken their life. People go, I cannot believe it. And I'm like, you just never know what somebody's going through. And there are certain people that have a high tolerance for being able to put on a good face in order to not burden people. Mm-hmm. But what is really interesting is that when you have a plan, sometimes that gives you enough energy to just keep going because you're like, okay, I got a good plan. Mm. So if this gets really bad, I know where to go. Mm. And you're like, okay, I'm just going to keep trying to figure this out. I'm going to keep trying to figure this out, but I got this plan. And it's really tough because you don't want to, for personalities like myself, you don't want to burden anybody. And you're like, look, if I can't figure out how to get out of this, nobody else is going to be able to figure this out either. Mm. That was a really, really painful. It's a really painful time. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry, Jada.
I'm really grateful that I found a way out. But I think about people who don't find it. And I wish there was like one thing I could say, one piece of advice, you know, like what would you tell somebody in a situation like that? And all I could ever say is, please just keep going, keep trying, keep walking, trust. Because if you trust, and I know how difficult it is, you know, for people who are in it, like that's easy for you to say. But if you keep trusting, the universe will open a door. And I know how hard it is to just wake up and keep it going. Because for me, it was hard just waking up in the morning. If I could get to 4 o'clock, I was like, okay, you made it another day. Mm. Being able to have enough strength to just get up, get out of bed, put clothes on, get through your day, and let no one know that you're struggling. It is so hard. I feel really blessed. You know, when plant medicine came my way, it saved my life. And I know that it's still a lot of whatever around plant medicine, but I'm going to tell you like this. And I'm not saying that that's for everybody, because my way out was a rugged 4 nights. And it was just my thoughts, thoughts about myself. It was just my self-hatred. The level of self-hatred you have that I have had to want to take my own life. And I had to walk 4 nights to clear up, look at, be with that level of self-hatred. I was like, you want to talk about walking through the valley of the shadow of death. But I'm really grateful for that experience, because after that one night, I never thought about suicide again.
Yeah, after the ceremony.
After the ceremony. Mm-hmm. And it was really my last resort. I was like, okay, this has been brought my way. I'm going to try this. And it worked. Praise God. Thank you. That's a really painful place for me still. And just thinking about how many people are sitting in that place. It really breaks my heart. Trusting God. That's those moments where I just have to just be like, God, these are your children. You will take care. And I pray that, God, you will provide the door you have provided for me.
Thank you for being so vulnerable with us. I want to give you a big hug. Can I come and give you a big hug?
You can give me a hug, Jay.
I'll give you a hug.
Oh, I love you. Thank you. You've been such a wonderful friend. You really have. You've been by my side through some really tough stuff. Only for more challenges to come along the way.
I'm so glad. I'd never, I wouldn't have had the fortune of getting to meet you, and I'm really glad that you were so vulnerable with us just now, because I really feel like there's more people than we think that have those thoughts.
Trust and believe it.
Yeah, there's just
trust and believe it. There's people that you see every day that you would never believe. It's so funny to have that level of strength and that level of vulnerability and just, despair, and at the same time, that level of like helplessness that could drive you to do something like that. But a lot of times we just don't know how to communicate it. I didn't know how.
And no one knew, like the Will kids, like, because this is already.
No.
Yeah,
they
mom,
knew
yeah.
I was very unhappy.
Yeah.
That wasn't a secret. And people didn't understand why either. So let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah,
the shame that comes with those feelings. And specifically, like, everybody feels that level of shame. I don't care what station of life you're existing in. And I would say I'm unhappy, and people would look at me like I'm crazy. What are you unhappy about? And so then I just went in even more, because I was like, they're right. Look what you have accomplished. You've got this great family. You've got a great life.
Yeah, you got the house.
You got the house, the car, the this and that. What's your problem? So then that's a hot cup of shame. So then I just shut down.
That's such a great note to put out there, because I think so many times we think like that about maybe our friends.
Yes. It's like you have so much. Yeah. You have so much. Yeah.
It's like that language can be so.
Yeah. And I would suggest to anybody, don't say that.
Yeah.
Don't say that to somebody who's saying, I'm having a tough time. I'm struggling.